One of the minor assignments that we typically complete in English 103 and 104 is peer review. This is really valued as an assignment because we recognize that all writers have ways that we can improve, and we know that writing doesn't happen in a vacuum. Peer review is a great opportunity to see your writing in a new way from an audience's perspective, or if you have a very niche audience, at least from someone who can see your writing with a fresh set of eyes. In my in-person English 103 and 104 classes, students will engage in peer review during class together. They read each other's drafts, then they give one another feedback. For our situation, we don't have the same opportunities to talk and collaborate in that way, so our collaborative opportunities look different, like working together on discussion boards. In this assignment, we'll get the chance to both give and receive some feedback by working together. A lot of students tend to get nervous about peer review for a multitude of reasons. Sometimes it's because people aren't comfortable sharing their work with someone else, especially when they know they're going to receive feedback on it. And for others, the necessity of giving feedback can be intimidating, especially if you're not confident in your own writing abilities. I recognize that you might be nervous for this, but I assure you, you will be fine. I've developed my peer review assignment to make sure that you give and receive helpful feedback, and it's based on theories from scholars who study feedback. I won't make you watch the TED Talk, but it's linked in the peer review assignment if you're interested. There are 4 steps in giving good feedback. First, there's a micro yes. That's when you let someone buy into receiving feedback. For our class, when someone posts their draft on the assignment, they're opening themselves up to receive feedback. Their posting a draft is a micro yes. The next step is when you give feedback, you want to pull out a data point. This is identifying something specific that's happening. This needs to be specific. If it's just some vague, non-specific statement like, "This is good," it doesn't let the person you're giving feedback to know what to keep doing. That's not useful. When we give feedback, we want to be as specific as we can because that's what makes a difference for the person we give feedback to. After you identify a data point, you want to give an impact statement. What was the data point, but then what was the effect of that data point? In our writing, we might say something like, "The script feels really conversational." That's the data point. But what's the impact? Well, maybe it's something like, "Because it feels more conversational, it makes me understand the points better. I feel like I learned something from reading your project." After you give the data point and show its impact, then you want to give a follow-up. We have less of a chance to do this in our class since it's asynchronous and online, but typically this looks like asking a question. What do you think? Does this feedback make sense? You can still do this on a discussion board, and I encourage you to, but the manner of this class can make it difficult to really have conversations with one another. Now, what happens if you're still nervous? Well, that's understandable. Sharing your writing can be scary. Giving feedback can be intimidating. However, I encourage you to think back to the Lamont reading for this week. Everybody in this class recognizes that we're in the drafting stage of this project. Nobody expects your writing to be perfect, now or ever. If you're nervous about giving feedback to somebody else because you don't feel confident in your own writing abilities, that's understandable too. I would tell you all that you're good writers though, and you don't need to be nervous. Super helpful, right? Realistically though, when we're in peer review, all you have to tell your partner is what your experience with their writing was like. What did you like? What do you think they could do more effectively? You don't have to be a writing expert. You just have to share your perspective. In the past, when I've had students do peer review online, they made some interesting comments about how they feel like they're being mean to their partner. There are a couple of things with this. First of all, giving someone thoughtful, constructive feedback on their writing is not mean, especially if you follow the format outlined above. Second of all, you're in control of what you write to other people. Review it before you submit it, and think about how you might feel to be on the receiving end of that feedback. If it feels mean, you can change it. I encourage you always to be kind and thoughtful and respectful to your peers in any situation. To get A complete on this assignment, you should post at least 50% of your draft of the script Your rhetorical rationale does not matter for peer review. And you should respond to your partner answering all 3 of the required questions. What is this person doing well? What would you suggest they do more of? And what else would you suggest for them to make their writing even better? For all of these, be specific. Give your data point and your impact statement. There's not a minimum word count for this assignment, but as you help out your peer, think about what would be helpful for you. Is half of a sentence going to be useful, or would you prefer a few sentences for each one? Your partner will be randomly assigned by Canvas, and if for some reason your partner doesn't post a draft and as a result of that you can't give feedback, then as long as your draft is posted on time, you will receive a complete on this assignment. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know.